think we're having a takeover by Dr. Lady Crystal Richardson. Oh my gosh, I'm excited to be here today with you. And that music really gets me rocking, man, especially at 6 a.m., Crystal. So good to see you today. And what are we here to do today?
Yes, well, hey, Linda, really great to see you. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you great. You can't hear me?
Awesome. It sounds like there's a little bit of, yes, it looks like there's a little bit of a delay. So I think
we'll
we're
deal
good.
with it.
I think we're good. Well, we are here as part of Women of Impact and Innovation International. And we are so happy to share with Linda and the Action Takers Publishing today. We have a number of amazing speakers that will be joining us to share their story, to share about what they do, to share a little bit about what they talked about for being with us today.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it. I know we have Shevelle, McPherson, and then we have Megan, Liz, Felix. Excited to bring them up. And looks like we're having a little bit of technical difficulties with hearing. So I'm going to bring bring up Shevelle first, and excited to talk to her. Shevelle, good morning. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning. I am fabulous. How are you ladies doing?
Good. Okay, so it doesn't sound like you and I having a delay here. I'm going to send Crystal down here for a second. And excited to talk to you today because I know that you are the legal boss and you help people protect their property. And I want to know, first of all, how did you get into that line of work? How did you get into the legal field? Were you like born with a legal law review in your hand? You're like, I got to be a lawyer someday.
Well, actually, not. I thought I was going to grow up and be a fashion designer. That was like my dream, right? And then when I went to college, I think my senior year, I took a business law class and I thought it was absolutely interesting. So I decided ultimately to go to law school, but I was a teen mom. So I thought that was going to be like a huge commitment for me. So I went to paralegal school, started working for some attorneys, quickly realized like if they could go to law school and become lawyers, I could, because I literally was doing like all the work as the paralegal. So I ended up going to law school, graduated from law school, and started working at the prosecutor's office. And obviously I decided if I can handle this much of a caseload for someone else, I can do it for myself. So I ended up hanging up a shingle, start my own practice, and here I am.
That's awesome. I mean, that's a feat in itself, because a lot of people don't want to do that, hanging up their own shingle, because there's a lot of pressure there. There are a lot of responsibilities, and so when you decided to do that, did you have any fear involved? It sounds like you're a fearless woman. But did you have any fear involved with, hanging up your own shingle?
I had no fear because I had a kid when I was 15. So that was the biggest fear, was like, what's going to happen to me in my life and my child at this point. So once I had my child, it was like, he was my why for everything. And I knew that I had to change my circumstances to make life better for him. So we're all a little nervous about the unknown. So I'm not saying that I didn't have any nervousness about it, but I figured, what do I have really to lose? Because I'm, coming from this situation I'm coming from, it could only be better. Right. So I just decided to go for it.
That's awesome. I love that. Not everybody has that wherewithal to do something like that. I'm one of those. I didn't start until 51 because I had a lot of fears. So it always fascinates me when I meet somebody that, yes, of course you have fear, but your fears don't stop you. And there's a difference right there, is that I allowed my fears to stop me. Congratulations on all the successes that you've had. And Crystal was telling us a little bit before we got started here that there was something you did about a contract with a boat. And I'm not sure if this is something that you can share right now today with us, and just to share a little bit, a snippet into what Crystal was telling us about a little bit, before we got started.
Oh yeah, so we had after the Powerful Women Summit, we all spent some time at the lake house, and we had rented a boat, and we had to go sign a waiver. And most people just like sign the waiver, but I'm an attorney, so I literally like read every provision of the waiver, then negotiated parts of it that I thought was not relevant to us, and put us more in for being liable for things that could happen. So I literally just negotiated that part out and was like, okay, we can all sign it now. So It was
It's
a
good that
fun moment that kind of became a legal moment. But I think a learning lesson for everyone is that it doesn't matter what the contract is or who it's coming from. You always have the ability to negotiate for your best interests.
that's a great point right there. Yeah, because we do. We have that ability to do it. And a lot of times, I know sometimes I'm guilty of that, just signing, especially if the contract is, 10 miles long. Like, I
Yes,
don't got time for that, but the reality is that sometimes we got to make time for that in order to
we have to.
make sure that we're not signing our life away, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's literally what I do in my business. Anywho, it's like I have to talk to entrepreneurs about doing the things that they need to do because most entrepreneurs just want to get out there. They want to start making money and they skip the legal part. Like you just said, when we went, the boat incident is like a prime example. Everybody was just like, and some people who had came before us probably already signed. But me, I never skip the legal part. I always tell people that's the foundation of your business, right? So you want to make sure that you're putting pillars in place to protect yourself. You have to protect yourself with contracts, with intellectual property, copyright. I know you're a publisher, so you understand the importance of people owning their content. There's so many things out here that we're building. We're putting our blood, sweat, and tears into creating. And I always say if it's worth creating, it's worth protecting.
What's worth creating is worth protecting, and that's for sure. But I do have a question related to the legal work that you do. Is when you what is the most interesting? I'm not sure exactly how to say this, but what's the most interesting case you've ever taken on, if you can think of it like off the top of your head?
Well, I will say this to you. I was a prosecutor and then I was a criminal defense attorney. So the most interesting cases I have taken have always been criminal, because there's criminal cases are that this is why people like crime TV, right? So most of my interesting cases have been criminal cases. There have been like murders where I get phone calls literally giving me, descriptions. And I think someone's like playing a prank on me. Oh, they just found 3 bodies in the backyard and, my baby couldn't have done that type of thing. And I'm like, wow. And then next thing you know, I turn on the news and like it's for real. So when it comes to criminal cases, it's always it's every case is like really interesting because I did a lot of serious cases. And in business, I would say the most interesting cases are usually the ones where, again, most of them come out of like contracts. Like I get people who, I had one case where someone did a chargeback on one of my clients, and nobody likes a chargeback, so you do a chargeback. But because she had effective a legal agreement, so she's like all nervous and scared, and she calls me, and I'm like, "Do you realize that you're gonna get your money back? Just do X, Y, and Z." But it's interesting for me to see how entrepreneurs get really they don't get concerned about the legal part until something happens. And I always say, like, I'm the dentist. When I get called, it's like time for the root canal, right? But it's nice to know when they have things in place that things can run smooth. So it just depends on which type of law, what's the most interesting.
Yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't even thought about criminal law. Thank goodness, because that means I'm not like engulfed in that
Right.
area, right? Except you did make me think of Dexter immediately when you said the 3 bodies in the living room. Dexter. Did you
Yes.
ever watch that show, Dexter?
No, but
Oh
I've
my,
heard.
yeah, it's like a crime thing. But so you can connect with Shevelle at chevellemcpherson.com, and that's SHEVELLEMCPHERSON.com. If you have any needs not in the criminal area, you're not doing that stuff anymore, right? Or do you every once
No,
in a
I'm not
while?
doing that. I actually have a webinar coming up if they're interested in coming to the webinar,
Can
and
they
I can
find
give
that
you that link.
information is it at your website or?
Yeah, no, I literally just came back and I just recently set it up, but I can give you the link for that if you want.
Okay, go ahead and give me that, and then we'll drop it in the comments a little bit later.
Okay.
And Barb Tomlin is with us this morning. Hello, Barb. She says, great attitude. Awesome. I love that. Yeah, so Shevelle, what is one thing that we should know as entrepreneurs? I know, of course, protect our property and all that, but what is one thing that you would say is the greatest, let's say, mistake that entrepreneurs make when it comes to you protecting their company? Or
The biggest mistake that entrepreneurs make overall is what I call skipping the legal side, skipping the foundation. Usually when I speak, I always ask entrepreneurs, are you homeless? And most people say no, they're not homeless. And with your business, it's the same thing. Are you building a homeless business, a business that has no brand protection, a business that has no entity, a business that's not using any contracts? And I've seen lots of entrepreneurs, not just entrepreneurs. I recently told a story about a celebrity who built a business for 40 years and later on found out that someone else owned it and he couldn't use it. And he literally he's gotten Grammy awards, right? And had to start over. So I always ask entrepreneurs, do you want to invest this money now or do you want to wait until later? Because at some point, you're probably going to have to put it out. And the best time to protect your business from a legal perspective is at the onset. Most entrepreneurs don't think that because they think, I'm not making any money yet. I'm not doing anything yet. And I don't have this yet. That's the best time, because when you get assets and you get a brand, you don't want to have to tear it down. If you build this beautiful house and now you're living in a mansion, do you want to have to tear it down and start all over again? No, you would rather protect yourself when you're in the little apartment and you simply have to move, right? So I use the same analogy with business. Protect yourself as soon as you start off, as soon as you learn that there are things in your business that are unprotected, because the longer you wait, the more agony and pain it's going to be if you have to stop, rebuild, and rebrand.
Well, thanks for sharing that that example of the star, that for 40 years in business and then finding out that somebody else had the legal rights to it. And that happens. If you have a brand that is starting to look successful and people on the outside are looking at it, they're like, okay, I think this is going to go somewhere. They can't steal your brand if you haven't protected it. So, thank you so much for that. And is there anything else you'd like to share with us before we bring up our next guest?
No, I would just like to thank you for having me, and I will let everyone know that I know I couldn't be here that long and talk about everything, but if you're really interested in protecting your business, your brand, and your profit, you need to come to my masterclass next week, and it is free. And I put the link in there. It's legalizemybusiness.com/LBU masterclass. And I would love to go deeper into why it's critically important that you protect your business, your brand, and your profit.
Okay, so there it is up on the screen, legalizemybiz.com/IBU masterclass. And I'm going to bring up LBU masterclass. I'm going to bring up Crystal to see if she's able to. Crystal, how's the sound now? There we go.
It sounds a lot better.
Yes, awesome. Crystal, is there anything you want to mention or ask or talk about before we bring up our next guest, Megan?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Shevelle. Like I said, she had the most people at her table. Being legally bossed up is very, very key. We had a good time with that boat contract, but it's real. Like, people don't read, and people talk about me for like reading every single line. I'm in quality regulatory, so I read, right? So it is where we need this. And if you have the time, go to her masterclass next week. Go to it. Really appreciate you, Shevelle.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Stay legally bossed up, ladies.
Stay legally bossed up. You got it. So what we're going to do is we're going to run to a quick commercial break, and then we'll be right back in just a minute.
I am powerful.
I am worthy.
I am creative.
I am wise.
I am beautiful.
And together, we want to say to you,
our sisters. Sister,
keep believing.
Keep going.
And the last thing we want to tell you,
and never forget that you
are
beautiful.
What would my show be without me singing a little song like, you are beautiful in every single way? That's all I'll do on that one. So that was awesome. I love it. Shevelle, what she's doing, and, coming from the legal field myself for 20 years, to be reminded how important those contracts are and things. You have to protect ourselves. And really in business, that is the cornerstone of just making sure that whatever it is that we're putting into our heart, our soul, into our businesses, that it is protected at the end of the day. So thanks so much, Crystal, for bringing Shevelle here today. Now we're going to bring up Megan, and I would love for you to introduce Megan, Crystal.
Yes. Hello, Megan. How are you?
Hello, I'm great.
Awesome, awesome. So Megan is one of our board members, and she was a speaker. She has an awesome, amazing story. And I kind of like don't like those words when people say story as if it's something that's made up. You know, her life is one that people need to hear, and they did hear at the summit, and related to her book also called Unloved. So Megan, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and just maybe say a little bit about your book.
Yes. Thank you, first and foremost, for having me on your show. And I would love to just share what Unloved is. Unloved is a guide to go from feeling unloved and unwanted to fully loved and admired. Because as someone who grew up feeling very unloved and not experiencing what love truly was, it was just void in my life. I know what it feels like to hurt as a child and to carry that over into our adulthood and to attract the same things in life. And I went through so many different things, but the hardest, I believe, was losing myself, attempting to love someone else that just wasn't capable of loving me. And that is what took me to my knees and was my breaking point to where I rebuilt myself. And I just promised God at that time that when he got me to where he was taking me, that I would turn around and help everyone else. So that is exactly what Unloved does. It just shows people how to go from feeling unloved, unwanted, unworthy, all of those just heavy, yucky feelings that we can feel as females, to taking the steps that I took to get to where I am today. So, because it's possible for anyone. And I truly believe that God wants us all to live a life of abundance.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm curious, at that moment that you had where you realized that you needed to make a shift, what was that like? What was that all about? And how quickly did you start the shift?
It was actually, it was hard. It was very hard. I knew for a while that I was in a situation that I didn't belong in with my daughter's father. And I used to say I was loyal to a fault. Like I would just hold on because I held on to this illusion that we needed to just be a family unit, and that I would do anything I could for her to have her parents and to grow up in a household with a mother and a father, because I never had that. So I just allowed myself to stay and to endure a lot of pain. And finally, one night as I was crying myself to sleep, I looked over at her and she was sleeping in bed next to me. And that was like one of those wake up moments. Like, what are you doing? I promised myself as a child when I was her age that I would never allow this to happen. And here I was in that situation. So I started to pray, like, God, help me. I know this is not where I'm supposed to be. I know this isn't what you want for me, because I was slowly dying inside. And slowly but surely, I got the courage to remove myself from that situation. And then after I did that, things didn't go as I had planned them. And as that happens a lot. But I found myself in all of my fears. My biggest fears were all coming to life. And I was at a point where I had no money. I had nowhere to live. I was sleeping on the floor at my mother's house because things just didn't go the way that I intended them to go. And then I found out I was pregnant with my son, and I was just like, kill me now. Like this is just not life, and it shouldn't be this way. And that was my breaking point. And that was when I guess people would call it surrender. And I just started praying, God, what is this for? This doesn't make sense to me, because I just had experienced so many things in life and had felt so much pain that it doesn't feel normal. And I had an intimate conversation, and I was like, I don't deserve this, because I learned at a very young age to do what you want done to you, right? To give out what you want back. So I didn't lie. I didn't cheat. I didn't steal. I didn't do the things that I deserved bad karma to come back to me. So it was at that moment that I was like, what is this for? You know, this isn't right. And I felt in my spirit, it's not about you. It's never been about you. Write the book. And at that point, I was like, what book? Like, I had no idea that I was supposed to write this book. But that was the beginning of it. And then I just started feeling like I always had this hope and desire inside and these big dreams. I would see like luxurious lives on TV and people living these big lavish lives. And I would want that. And I would be like, oh my gosh, like that would be so amazing. And I would have that desire inside of me. But where I come from, it just wasn't possible, right? And I would slowly start to believe it is possible and that there's more. And then I would just do different things. Books that I've read, there's all kinds of things that I've done in my journey that got me from that point to where I am now. And I'm just excited for other people to go on that journey too, because honestly, I changed my life in 6 months by just some books and reprogramming your subconscious mind and a couple little things that we can do to change it all. So it's pretty exciting.
I think that's an important piece there because the time frame is different for everybody. Yours was 6 months, mine was about a year, and everybody has a different time frame. And so rather than like thinking of it as like a comparison or whatever, it's like just get on the freaking journey, right? Get on the journey. And I love how you surrendered. I think that's a very important piece there is, for us to surrender to God and say, it's in your hands. I'm here to do the work. Just tell me what I need to do and guide me on that journey. But there was something you said I was loyal to a fault. So I would love for you to talk to the woman who's listening right now, who is loyal to a fault. And what do you want to tell her? What do you want to tell her?
I just got chills as you said that. Okay. So yes. Oh my goodness. What I want to tell her is I see you. I hear you. And I know your heart. And so does God. That we are not supposed to hurt ourselves and to be in situations that aren't serving us. That is not love. Love does not hurt, regardless of how we grew up, of the beliefs that were instilled in us, of any of that. Love does not hurt. And it helped me at that point because I couldn't wrap my head around leaving someone because I truly at that time thought that I loved him. And I didn't want him to hurt. So what made it easier for me, I'm analytical in a sense, so I had to wrap my head around it to understand it for myself to make that move. So I told myself, okay, I need to do this for me. I need to leave. I need to grow. I need to become whole myself. And if it's meant to be, it will be. But I have to trust that process and let that go and just trust. If it's meant to be and he's who I'm supposed to be with, we will come back together when I am whole. And that made it easier for me to make that shift. And then as I made that shift, God made it more clear to me that no, that is not where I want you. And things worked out accordingly. But if that's what you need to believe to make that shift, so be it. Whatever you need to do to put yourself first is what I highly encourage and recommend you to do. Because at the end of the day, we can love someone and give them all that we have. But if they're not capable of loving us back, you will kill yourself and die attempting to make that happen. And that is not what God intended for you.
Wow. Such a powerful, powerful message. You can connect with Megan at risetoyourworth.net, risetoyourworth.net. And Crystal, I'm going to send it over to you. You have any questions or, for Megan or thoughts?
Yeah, so Megan was at the summit, and part of what happened even before the summit, she was involved with our board. She's a board member, and one of the things that she mentioned is in direct relation to what was on that commercial related to sisterslivesmatter.com. sisterslivesmatter.com. There's so many women that are going through a lot of what Megan went through and even more. And some of them are actually not even with us now. We did have a board member that paid for the summit. You know, she paid to be on the board and all of that, but she didn't make it because she was stabbed to death by her husband, and then he shot himself. And so if you haven't heard anything that Megan has said, and if you haven't heard it, you need to go back and listen to it again. And even the name of her company, you know, related to worth. It's so, so important. We have to first understand that we are worthy. And then understand that, yeah, you do whatever you need to do with your mindset and with the questions and the comments that you make to yourself to get out. And so, Megan, I really applaud you for that and sharing your story related to that, and that you took those steps and that you were led by God to do so. But it's not always easy, right? And so I really, really appreciate that. And that is a very key message so that more people can get what they need from the perspective of Sisters Lives Matter.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for sharing that, Crystal, because what came to mind when you were mentioning that is, you know, my mom and dad were together for 55 years. And the very first words my mom said when my dad took his last breath were, "Thank God the bastard is dead." After 55 years, life does not have to be like this. You know, this is a choice. And so we do have a choice to leave. Is it scary? Can it be scary? Yes, of course, but it's better than the alternative. And so really finding help. So Megan, what is it that you do today? Because, you know, you mentioned your story and, you know, leading to you know, to what you do kind of today, but what is it that you actually do?
I encourage women and empower women to become the best version of themselves. I do that.
And do you do this through
coaching? Yeah. I do that through speaking engagements, different things of that nature.
Awesome. So you want to connect with Megan, go to risetoyourworth.net, check her out and see if there's something way you guys can connect with each other. So Crystal, how would you like to end this segment right here?
Megan, do you have any final words related to you? And you brought your daughter, if you want to just kind of like mention that before you go.
Yes, it was just so amazing. I do want to say thank you again, Crystal, for putting all of that together, because it was just mind-blowing. Honestly, I have never been in a room with so many amazing women that were so authentic and so genuine and just vulnerable. It was so amazing. And then not to mention that they allowed my 9-year-old daughter to come, because through my journey, she watched me and she actually wrote a book during one of her breakdown moments, and it helps children. So they took that and took her story and acknowledged her and brought her up on the stage and just made her feel very seen and heard. And then to even take it a step further, we went to the lake house afterwards with all of the women from the summit. And it was an adult event. No children were allowed. And my daughter, things have happened and she wasn't able to get picked up the way that we had originally planned. So instead of them saying, "Okay, Megan, sorry about your luck, you know, we'll catch you next time," they said, "She proved that she was mature enough and we want to invite both of you," and allowed her to come, which touched my heart in ways that I don't even have the words for right now. It was just so incredible. And I love you guys for life.
Megan, part of this was because of what happened. And I want Linda Sunshine West to hear this. So Megan, at 9 years old, went around. She was selling her book, first of all, and then she was selling her mom's book, and then she was helping to sell other people's books. And then she took Forbes Riley's Spin Gym and was helping to have people understand how to wind it. You have to have your hands a certain distance away. She was helping them do all of that. She was selling Spin Gyms. So Linda Sunshine West, she won your award from last year. Her 9-year-old daughter was doing the most at the summit.
That is so awesome. I love it.
So Megan, it was Linda last year. Like, you know, she was just really, really into answering all the questions and whatnot. And you even said that was like one of your first awards that you had won or whatever. And so Megan, you would have had a run for your money with Mia.
I love that. Now, Megan, behind you, some people might think that this is a Zoom background, but it is not. And so you've come a little ways from being on your mother's floor, sleeping on your mother's floor, to where you are today. And so how has that journey been? Because when we come from one place to a different place, the place that we had dreamt about, sometimes it can seem unreal, or a lot of times we stop ourselves from getting there. So what was it about you that you allowed yourself to get to that place?
I tell people that my plan was to rise like a phoenix, right? My mother said that to me one day, you'll rise like a phoenix from the ashes. And that was my plan. But because I surrendered my life and was like, okay, God, I want what you want for me. You lead the way. He showed me how to actually rise to my worth. And in doing that, I met my husband. And I actually met him on an airplane. It was just like such a divine connection. But that transition and everything that I have today, it got to be very easy because I surrendered and I became obedient and I let God lead my life. So I kind of stepped into this life because he gave me my husband, and my husband is a very successful and established man. And I just had to learn how to love myself and rise to my worth, and everything else fell into place.
I love it. I love it. I just love it. I don't even know what else to say. Because that's so amazing to see it actually happen, to see it unfold, and to be here with you, to be able to witness that you have gone from there to here. And congratulations. So again, you can connect with Megan at risetoyourworth.net. Go check her out. Connect with her if you want her to speak at one of your events, or if you are looking for somebody to help you because you're feeling unworthy right now. If you want somebody to help you to rise out of the ashes into success, please connect with Megan. So with that said, Megan, thank you so much for being here. Truly appreciate you and everything you're doing to help other women to come out of their ashes into their worth. Thank you again so much.
Thank you. Thank both of you ladies.
Thank you, Megan.
Thank you.
Oh, Crystal, wow. You, of course, as always, you always bring incredible women into your sphere of influence. And I'm one of them, girlfriend.
Yes. My singing Glenda.
That's right. I had so many songs I was going to sing during Megan's, but it was a very serious topic, so I decided not to. So I will now. What's love got to do? Got to do. These songs, right? These songs that are from the past, like they're all about bad things about love, and
right.
There are some good songs about love, but the ones that unfortunately that come to mind automatically are some of those that are these negative ones. And Teresa shares, I love your sharing and your journey, so powerful. I shared a similar story, and she is an overcomer. Yeah, Teresa has a very powerful story as well. So Crystal, how are we going to round out this show today?
Well, I want to just thank you as a board member of WOIII, Women of Impact and Innovation International. And if you want to hear more about what we are doing, we have 8 various executive boards and ambassador boards. Linda is on the media, marketing, and publishing, of course, on that board. But we have business and leadership, wealth and investments, mindset and mental health. We have a number, innovation and technology, that's the board that I'm affiliated with. We have a number of different areas. And that's one thing that the women talked about in their testimonials related to this summit, Linda, was the well-roundedness of the speakers and what we had. It wasn't just about business. Like we do a lot as women, and we are in a lot of different areas. And so being able to have the legal aspect with Shevelle, and then the mindset portion with Megan, it was just really, really great. So our next summit will be in Belize, and that will be we're looking at August of 2024. But between now and then, there's a lot that we will be doing. So if women are interested in joining our Facebook group, they can. And that's WOIII, Women of Impact and Innovation International. And you can get more information on our website. One of the main things, like I said, is that we do want women to know that we have that question for you. Do you feel safe at home? Do you feel safe? And if you don't feel safe, one of the initiatives that we have that we're partnering with and leading the charge, if you will, is in relation to domestic violence and having where that's just not something that we need to be concerned with anymore. We had a chair for Tarifa because she paid for it. So we had a chair for her there. And we don't want to add any more chairs of losing any more of our women. And so if you don't feel safe, there is the National Domestic Violence Hotline and sisterslivesmatter.com, where there's counselors and people that can pray with you and other things to help you find a way to get out and to live the life that you deserve to live. So yeah, that was a big part of what we talked about in the partnership that we did with domestic violence, and even with some of the transition shelters and outreaches that we did as well.
So Crystal, you're talking about the next retreat in around August of 2024 in Belize. And so why, first of all, questions, because it sounded like it's for the board only, but this is not for the board only. This is all, all women are invited to attend this event. And how can they get on a list to be notified when, because you're still working on the details, how can they get on a list to be notified of all the information there?
Yeah, so what we do is at the summit, this was our second one. Every time we have the summit, we have a leadership meeting after, and we do the plan and preparation for the next summit where everyone is invited. So the vote went through and Belize is what came up. And so everyone is invited to that. And you can go to WOIII.com and hit the contact button and get on the email list so that we can give you the information. And we would love to have you there as a potential speaker, have you potentially join a board, get involved with some of our outreaches in our different states and countries. We had people from all over the world that actually came to this summit. So this is not just for the United States, wherever you're listening from. We would love to have you be involved with our women, because we honor wisdom is what we're about. We honor wisdom, and we raise up the next generation of powerful professional women leaders. And as you see, we have some powerhouses that are part of what we do, and we want to raise up more.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for just for being in my world. I'm glad I got introduced to you by Jason several years ago. And just the relationship that keeps fostering from that. And it is about relationships. It's about building those relationships with positive, motivational, uplifting people. And that's, Crystal and I surround ourselves with those types of people. And so if you're looking for that kind of tribe, that kind of group, that kind of camaraderie, then this is definitely a platform for you to check out. Again, you can go to WOIII.com. Check it out, see what they're all about. There's so many good things that are happening over there, and it's just going to get better and better and better, because right now it's in its infancy. It's been about a year or so, right, Crystal?
Yeah, this is our second summit, and so it's like a year and a half old, 2 years.
Yeah. So it's still in the infancy, and it's going to grow and grow and grow from there, because Crystal has huge visions. She is an innovative person. And so huge visions of what's going to happen. And if you like to be part of that, just to be surrounded by the women, or if you want to be part of the board, I definitely recommend checking it out and seeing if it's for you. And I'm going to tell you that it is for you. I'm just going to tell you that right now, that it is. I joined the board, and so you should join the board too, just for that.
Yeah, and I want to say last year it was our first year, and we had the honor of honoring Sharon Lecter with the President's Award, and that's I give it to Women of High Impact. It's an international award, so we honored Sharon Lecter last year, and then this year we honored Michelle Seiler Tucker, who wrote Exit Rich with Sharon, and does a lot. Oh my gosh, from a wealth and investments perspective. Her talk was on fire. It was so much on fire that I had to give her my bracelet after. We had a bet, and she won the bet, so I had to give her my bracelet. I don't think I'm ever going to get that back. And then we also honored Forbes Riley, who some of you all know as the pitch queen. And so it was just an amazing time. People who I've never seen cry were crying. People who had a lot going on with just understanding different things about themselves and about business on various levels. It was just great. I mean, not just because it was our summit, but it was a really, really a great time. So I can't wait to meet more of you and have you come out and check us out.
Yeah, I love it when you bring women together, and women that are, again, positive, supportive, uplifting, motivational women together. Like, it's unlimited what's going to happen. And so being surrounded by that environment is very I think it's imperative. It's imperative for our growth, because we can only grow so fast or so far ourselves. And it's having those other supportive people in our lives that help us to lift us. You know, they say a rising tide lifts all boats. And so when we're surrounded by women who are powerful and want to support you, then this is definitely the environment for you, if that's what you're looking for, because that is what this is all about. So with that said, Crystal, I just want to thank you again for so much for everything that you do to help women to get their message out there, to share their worth, to grow, and to become who they are here meant to be. And again, check it out at WOIII.com and join us. Join us at one of the events. Join us on the board. Just join us, because it's definitely an environment that you would like to be surrounded by. Trust me. Trust me. Crystal, last words.
Last words is I would love for you to play that the short commercial. Maybe play the one that says "You are beautiful" horizontal, and then play the last commercial. That'd be great.
Okay, got it. Thanks everybody for stopping by. Truly appreciate you. Watch these commercials, because these are very powerful, and thanks for being here.
Thank you.
I am powerful.
I am worthy.
I am creative. I'm wise.
I am beautiful.
And together, we want to say to you,
You are sisters. Sister, keep believing.
Keep going.
Keep rising.
And the last thing we want to tell you is,
Never forget that you
are beautiful.